Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Vendo Velocity. If it's your first time joining us, it's great to meet you. I'm your host, Delaney Del Mundo, and I'm our Director of Amazon Account Strategy here and also lead our TikTok shop side of the business. And if it's your first time joining us, you probably aren't familiar yet with Matt and Ben, who are two of the superstar account strategists we have on our team. Matt primarily on the Amazon side of our business, and then Ben on the Walmart.com side of our business. But they, of course, work very closely together, especially across a few brands in which they co-manage, and Vendo co-manages for both Amazon and Walmart. So they've been on here with me for a couple times, but always drop some great knowledge, and would love to turn it over to them to further introduce themselves. So Matt, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Delaney. I'm Matt, one of the Amazon account strategists here at Vendo. Before I was at Vendo, I was helping brands just on every single retailer. So Walmart, Amazon, you name it, been there, done that at that point for everything. So definitely know the strategy behind both of these and been doing it for many, many years at this point. So Ben, I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, Matt, I think when Delaney was talking that she does Amazon and TikTok, we may need to do a different social media so we can decide who gets Pinterest and who gets MySpace. So Ben Wilcox, I've been with Vendo now for a little over a year, specializing on the Walmart side. Before this, I was at a different brokerage firm that helped out both on the Amazon and Walmart. So I've run businesses on both sides. And then I was at Walmart.com for 2+ years. So have experience there, and then also at Wayfair, because my true passion are any retailers who start with a W.
There you go. Well, yes, that's exactly why we brought both of these guys on today, is because we wanted to talk about how you conquer retail across multiple retailers and channels. So we'll talk a little bit about Amazon, Walmart, TikTok Shop, but with their breadth of experience across other retailer.com platforms, we definitely want to make sure that you have a sense of what it takes to just excel in e-commerce in general, and really just across retail, even outside of e-commerce from an omni-channel perspective. So want to dive into a few things. Matt, I'll go with you first on just if you could share some key strategies for retailers looking to establish that consistent brand presence across multiple online marketplaces.
Yeah, I think, one of the key strategies, I think, for me is, not offering the same thing at every single retailer that you have. It might seem counterintuitive to offering a unique experience for like the brand across like every retail channel. But when you're looking at like a retail channel, you're looking at one, trying to stay in that retailer. And then the secondly is offering products that make sense for that channel. Ben would know this better than anybody else, but Walmart's buyers are completely different than Amazon's, which are completely different than Home Depot, TikTok, and you name it. Every retailer has different customers that you need to abide to. So I think just like looking at it from an e-commerce perspective, content is going to be the main focus I'm thinking of making sure that your content from the product size makes sense. So with that would be like boxes in store. So making sure that the experience is the same from your photos and infographics, main images, as it is in store. Because if you're trying to do something of like, hey, we're trying to sell a product and it doesn't look the same at all, you're just going to create a bad customer experience overall there. So those are probably like the two main ones I have just off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, I kind of like what Matt said right there with the power of kind of exclusive products on the different retailers. I mean, we know it's kind of the scarce good economics, where if you have something that's only available one place, that kind of will drive up demand that works with a bunch of different things. So making sure each retailer has something unique, and that also drives interest to that site. I think something else, and Matt touched on this, is really talking about the differences between the strengths of the two channels. So Amazon, we know that they have the strength of Prime, and that's where you're really going to move a ton of volume is with Amazon. But Walmart on the e-commerce side, you have a great channel to go ahead and work your way into stores by selling, whether that's on Marketplace and proving your value with the Walmart customer, also kind of on the e-commerce side, if you can get into the FCs, and then using the strength of that network. And once you get there, we know that Walmart right now, their e-commerce is growing predominantly through the power of their grocery business. So as consumers are buying more stuff online, they want to shop at home in the comfort of their house, on their phones, on their computers. So we're seeing that grocery is the biggest channel for Walmart. But to kind of building out the experience where you can be together is understanding the strengths of each brand, as well as making sure you're aware. So Matt and I, as Delaney mentioned, we work on similar brands. Matt on the Amazon side, I'm on the Walmart side, which we know Walmart had their Walmart Deals Day a week before Amazon Prime. So Matt and I actually worked very closely to make sure, hey, what items was Matt going to go ahead and promote? Are these A items on Walmart? Because if Matt's taking the price down 30, 40% on some of my top items on Walmart, that's going to greatly impact my business because A, I'm going to lose those sales or I'm going to take a hit that I wasn't expecting. So we were actually able to work together to build a strategy of just complementary items that would work for both sides. So on the Walmart side, we ended up having a huge deal where it was 30% off on a select group of items. Saw basically one of the best weeks that brand had for a while. And Matt was able in turn to keep it so he could have another positive week for Prime Day, which was a huge win of just complementing the strategy, because you're not going to treat them the same, but making sure the two are aware of each other really helps grow.
That's a great point that both of you guys made there. And I want to touch a little bit on the exclusivity because I know you both touched on it a bit. But what are your thoughts overall on, let's say, an Amazon exclusive product or a Walmart exclusive product? Think about, let's just take a brand in supplements. Supplements is a big category on both Amazon and Walmart. So if we're looking at a brand in supplements, how can brands better differentiate their products across different retailers? Or is the recommendation mainly to just sell the same exact products across Amazon and Walmart?
So I'll go this first, Matt, because you got the last one first, and you introduced yourself first. So I got to go first once. So I think specifically with like something with supplements, can we do a unique flavor? Is there something different that we can do to bring the customers to Walmart? Are there different sizes? Because if you think about the Walmart world, there's also Sam's Club, which is a club buyer, so you can do a bigger product. Or Walmart, you can do something that can fit better onto the modular and then have a bigger option on Amazon where people are more likely to buy it online. So I think figuring out how can we curate something to kind of make it so there's excitement around our presence on this site. But the trick with exclusives always is there's the people behind the decision making. And if I'm giving something exclusive over to Amazon, then the team at Walmart is going to say, well, I want something exclusive and cool too. So you just have to be prepared for that conversation. But it's a great chance to really drive the excitement and kind of the treasure hunt aspect to the shopping experience of your customers. I don't know, Matt, what other experiences do you have?
Yeah, I'd say, flavor was the first thing I was thinking of too when I'm thinking of exclusives. The issue sometimes with count size, if you're like, okay, we sell a 12 pack and we're going to put a 12 pack on Walmart and a 24 pack on Amazon, is that in recent years, Amazon has started to price match those pack sizes. So if, let's just say you're selling it for just ease of math of a 12 pack for $10 and you're selling a 24 pack on Amazon for $30, they're going to price match you at $20. Even though that price comp isn't out there at all, they'll still price match it like it was like if a customer bought two of them. So I think flavor would be the main one versus pack size. I think the only downside from a manufacturing perspective is now you're creating a brand new SKU for one retailer. And if that flops, then you're stuck with that inventory there. The bright side of it all is down the road. If you're just stuck with too much inventory for whatever it is, you can just throw it on Amazon, throw it with like your main listing that you have and get through it. But there is some inventory risk, inventory sitting that you have to take into account if you're a brand with everything like that. There is some inherent risk with it. I would say that like it's definitely minimized with just being able to sell stuff on any channel like within minutes and being able to list it. But that risk is there. So I just want to make sure that that is known too there.
No, I think that's a great point, Matt, on the exit strategy. So making sure, is this exclusive? Hey, you get it for a year or something, and then we're going to go to the rest of the channel and go ahead and move it elsewhere, or kind of building in that part of the plan. That's a great call out of everything to make sure that you know what you're going to do if this doesn't necessarily go as well as we hoped.
Yeah, and Ben, you made a great point in terms of the relationship with the merchants too, because that's, of course, less of what we face on the Amazon side of our business because the merchant isn't as heavily involved. They probably don't even know the assortment that the brand carries on a Walmart.com unless there's like a price matching issue or something along those lines. But when you're in those line reviews with merchants, they're looking at brands' full catalogs. They're understanding what else they're selling off platform. And it really is more of a question of, hey, I know that you guys have maybe an exclusive with Target, with Amazon, etc. What are you guys bringing that's unique to Walmart? So that's always something that's from my past experience, and I'm sure from both of your guys, is seeing both sides there, both Amazon and Walmart, very different in terms of how the merchant or vendor manager relationship truly is there. But I wanted to touch on a couple things because both of you have done a great job just displaying how much cohesiveness we have internally in terms of sharing learning, sharing promotions, how we're planning for events. But of course, there's some common pitfalls if there isn't that relationship inherently between Amazon and Walmart. So let's talk a little bit about that, on what are some of the dangers or the challenges that retailers face when attempting to synchronize some of these strategies across various marketplaces, and what are your tips overall on how they can overcome them?
So I think I'll take the pitfalls first. So I think the biggest pitfall you're going to have is the lack of synergy between a brand and everything. You could be telling two different stories. One brand I was working on, they on Walmart had completely different product titles than on Amazon. And if you're just going on Google as a customer and searching, you know, whatever this item is, be it an RC car or anything, and you get two completely different looking items, then that makes it so it's just a different experience. You cause customer confusion. And that way you can almost either sour the product or the brand to a consumer. So Matt talked about content at the very beginning, synergizing that. That's a big thing, where the pitfall of having a different look for each retailer, especially because so many customers are starting their search not on a particular retailer, they're going to a search engine like Google. So making sure that everything looks the same so you don't sour that. Also, I mean, kind of talked about that with the promotions we had. If you're doing a big promotion on one site, you need to be aware on the other, because Delaney, you talked about it, like now the Walmart merchants are incredibly aware of everything going on. If we think about it, I mean, if we go back a little bit before the internet was a thing, retailers could not price compare very much. It was all about a report that would come once a week to say what everything was. You didn't know. Now you are constantly just able to get all this data about what's happening in the market. So I can know instantaneously, I have a price here at Walmart. What's the price? Target, Best Buy, Amazon, and if lucky enough, TikTok Shop, if the algorithm likes me. So I think that kind of plays a role in it all, is the ease of information and making sure that everything is synced up, because, you know, if you take a price drop on Amazon, it's going to come on Walmart. So I think those are the two big pitfalls. One, consistency of the brand so everyone's aware of it. And two, just knowing it's not an isolated retail environment anymore. Everyone's watching everyone. Matt, I'll let you take the second part of that question. I hope you wanted that part.
Oh, man. What was the second
part?
part?
Olive wanted that part. I saw Olive sneaking in the background there.
Yeah, she wanted part of the podcast too today, you know? Can you repeat the second part of the question, though, Delaney, there, just so I can make sure that we're, providing the correct value to everybody here?
Yeah, of course. Just when retailers are attempting to synchronize their strategies across various marketplaces, what are some of the common pitfalls and how can they overcome those?
Yes, I guess, I've been really, I think, addressed most of the pitfalls there. I would add to one of the pitfalls being with the promotions and pricing, that if Amazon craps out your item and you're just not selling anything, you're losing a lot of momentum on the site. I'd say it's less important on other retail channels if you're losing momentum there, since there's a lot more control that the merchants have over what shows up on the e-com sites. Versus Amazon, like, you're losing momentum every day to people that are selling thousands of units. That could be very detrimental. So that's, I think, another pitfall there. And when I'm thinking about
just how to touch on that, Matt, because that's a really great point. Matt didn't just make up that term, crapped out. It is an Amazon specific term. It stands for can't realize a profit. So on the 1P side of the business, and this is where Matt's experience is more unique because he does manage brands, both 1P, 3P, and even some that are more hybrid. But net PPM is going to be a big proponent in all of this, and that's your net pure profit margin, or Amazon's. So that's a guiding metric for Amazon vendor managers. And as Matt was just saying, if there is any price matching or promotion happening offline, that's going to then impact your net PPM or Amazon's net PPM, because they're going to be having to match that price. So Matt, you can go ahead and finish that thought. I just wanted to give some of the audience some background there, and didn't want to just throw out that you made up that word that we cracked out.
No, definitely. Now I'm trying to think of what we're doing to synchronize across. I think one of the main things that you'll see a lot of brands do nowadays is just a national promotion calendar. which really that national promotion for me is what I'm thinking of every single retailer that you work with, making sure that each retailer either has certain products that might be unique to them that you're promoting in that time frame, or you're just like, hey, every single retailer is going 10-15% off at a given time frame. And that's what the promotion is going to be. So we're going to make sure Amazon's on board, Walmart's on board, Target, TikTok, every single retail channel is aligned there, just so when the price goes down, it can also go back up. Because I think a lot of times you'll see a retailer bring the prices down for a promotion, and every single one of them will just stay there for the next week and a half while you're not funding it, but you're risking those products being crapped out due to profitability on every site. So doing something with national promotion, we're communicating with each vendor manager of, hey, like, this is how we're doing it. This is the dollars we're going to give for this. I think it's probably the best way. And then it kind of goes back to, again, you don't want to put every single product on every single channel. You really want to strategize and be like, hey, this is the number one for Walmart. This is the number one for Amazon. Let's not make sure that they fight each other, because then we're going to just have a zero at the end of the day. We want to make sure that these are both winners on their own platforms.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're competing with enough brands. Why compete against yourself?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's a great point. That's a great point. I want to talk a little bit about the data and just the market research, because we also, as Vendo, have a lot of experience on just identifying opportunities for brands, even in other retailers. So we've done multiple assessments in Costco specifically, and have worked with our sister companies there to identify maybe which Amazon and Walmart brands we manage that might be a good fit for Costco. Ben alluded to Sam's Club a little bit earlier, and how, of course, many of our Walmart brands are in Sam's Club or are looking for opportunities in Sam's Club. And a lot of that comes down to the analytics and the market research. So if both of you can kind of expand on how and in what ways does that analytics and market research play a role in optimizing overall retail strategy across multiple platforms, and just give some general examples of data-driven approaches that you guys have taken and worked on collaboratively, that would be great.
So I think a competitive analysis that we recently had to do was looking at, we have an item, item X and item Y from a competitor. Why is it doing so much better? So we had to look at a bunch of different data points. What's the demographic of the shopper to see, are they chasing a different customer than us? That's something that we're able to get. What's the price, like the income range that shopper is in, and everything, to make sure that we're hitting that. And then we looked at some other things, like share of voice is a very valuable metric and everything. So you can go ahead and see who's spending and who's playing on the space advertising. Share of voice allows you to see for every available slot on the page, whether organic or advertised, who's getting those actual placements. So we can go ahead and see stuff like that. We can see as well search volume to make sure that, hey, much like there's seasonality in sales, is there seasonality in who's typing up this word? Because, for example, if you sell pool floaties, you don't want to be advertising heavily on those in December. You're just going to be wasting money. So I think it's utilizing all the data at our fingertips. We talk about, I think I know, like everyone talks about it, where there's just so much information right now. I mean, I'm a sports fan and I'm a baseball fan, and all they talk about is the data available. It's the same in retail, where there's just so much ahead of you. So it's the difference of being able to utilize it and say, here's the story that we want. Like, what's the right product in this situation for this market? And also getting a little bit, and that's kind of where it takes the perspective of having someone from and the outside come in to filter out the noise that's just noise. Matt, I hope you can make sense of my monologue there.
No, yeah. I mean, I think even like, if depending on who you're presenting to, changing up the data that they want to see. Each buyer is going to have some different data points that they're looking at. If you're talking to a Walmart buyer, they're going to want to see something different. Amazon people don't really care. To be brutally honest, they just care about sales coming in and the amount of traffic being driven. If you show them helium-10, things like that, it's really great insight for, I think, the brand, for whoever's running that account. But from an account manager perspective, they truly only care about their profitability on site, and how much money are you making them. Versus, I feel like when you're going into these retail channels, I think that even like one of the simplest data points that is very, very powerful if you're a known brand, you're not in retail stores yet, is just your bestseller rank on Amazon. Are you number one in the category? Then you can basically just throw that in their face and be like, why wouldn't you want the number one? Like, who wouldn't want the best NBA player on their team? Obviously more nuance there. But like, why wouldn't you want a Michael Jordan on your team? Why wouldn't you want like a Kobe Bryant, somebody like that, to be on your team, driving the business with you guys there? So really telling the story how you need to tell it. If you're a new brand, it's going to be a lot harder to pitch to those things because you're going to have to pull more of those data points, like Ben mentioned. If you're an established brand with a lot to show and you're just now getting into retail, I think you can really utilize a lot of stuff from Amazon, Helium 10, things like that. These retailers have so much data that it really is taking all of this and then condensing it down into a digestible format for everybody to look at it and be like, yeah, why wouldn't we want you guys? So just simplifying it.
Matt's about to start a Kobe versus LeBron or Michael versus LeBron debate on this podcast, but that's all good. No, but that's a great point, Matt. And I think on top of that, what we've also been able to showcase is market share, right? We have plenty of tools internally that allow us to evaluate market share. And for example, in that Costco analysis that I alluded to, or whenever we're looking at retail expansion, that's something that we're trying to understand. It's like, okay, Costco carries X brand, but look at the market share on Amazon where X brand is actually dominating the space. Vendo manages X brand. If we launch in Costco with the correct pack size at the correct price point, then we'll probably be able to replicate similar results on Amazon. And then as Matt and Ben both shared, that branded demand, how the brand's presence is on each of the platforms. TikTok Shop, of course, another great lever to pull to grow that overall brand awareness and have that spill over on both Walmart.com and Amazon. So plenty of different opportunities. I'm sure Ben could have a whole podcast on driving traffic to Walmart stores and some of the marketing levers that you can pull there. But it really is rising tides lift all ships, in which you will have more of a collective marketing plan that impacts each of the individual retailers.
Is it me or Delaney just signed me up to come back?
Yeah, right. Only Matt's invited back, Ben. Sorry.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm kidding. You guys are a package deal at this point, for sure. But yes, you will be back. It's a quarterly thing at this point. But no, absolutely. I want to talk a little bit and just close on how these marketplaces are evolving, because I think Walmart.com specifically is second to none in terms of some of the growth that we've seen just within the last 2 to 3 years and how they've started to really close the gap. Not just in terms of the data with Luminate and all others, but also just with the interface itself and how they're really investing into the platform. So speak a little bit, if each of you can, since you have such a wide breadth of knowledge in different retailer.com platforms, how have you seen these retailers adapt their strategies to stay more competitive and maximize their presence just within the retailer.com space? And then also just maybe some predictions on emerging trends, technology, what that impact is going to be specifically on the retailer platforms that you each manage or elsewhere.
Yeah, so because you went Walmart with the example, I'll go ahead and go first as the Walmart expert here. So I think there's two folds, as we've talked about throughout the whole time of Walmart. There's the in-store kind of first-party 1P side, and then there's the marketplace or third-party. So I think from the 1P side, where Walmart has invested and is really growing is pickup and delivery they see as the most important channels for their future success. They love that because it is also the most cost efficient, because the customer is actually doing the hard part of the specialized. But it's also, if you think about it, the items that are the most popular, to Matt's point, like the MVPs, all these A items that just drive all the volume, are already in stores. They're already close to the majority of the shoppers. So Walmart, from a side of a strategy, is investing in making sure that they are in the best position possible for pickup. As part of their portals that they're using, they're rolling out, Delaney mentioned it, new data to get you more visibility, potentially into those different channels. So you can specify specifically, here's how we're doing on pickup, here's how we're doing delivery, here's how we're doing on the shipping from both the FC and the store with the Luminate data. So they're making sure that you have that. From an item maintenance standpoint, they're trying to do things where you can merge that 1P and that 3P as they roll out supplier one, so you can have it all in the same interface and make sure that you're tracking content in the same parts. So they're trying to make it so as a brand, you have an integrated system to see how is my total Walmart business operating, but also how can we best optimize the different channels to kind of complement. And they're working and trying to get more with the, how can I go ahead and, to Delaney's point, rising tides lift all ships, utilize my bellwether, you know, strong items to go ahead and do I need to bundle that with an item that's on marketplace that we want to promote to see how this can really do. So I think those are the big things. One, they're leading into pickup and delivery with giving you data visibility. Two, they're really leaning in on trying to make sure that's an integrated experience. And I mean, if you paid attention to anything Walmart in the past little bit, they're spending a lot on their advertising. Not going to talk on that because I want to give Matt a chance to answer as well.
Yeah, I mean, from an Amazon perspective, I feel like with their recent announcement of doing something more Temu-like, I think that Amazon is trying to become the everything e-commerce retailer of trying to hit the low-end products as well as some of the higher-end products. We've been seeing that with just like, you know, luxury beauty, more brands kind of showing up and really starting to advertise heavily with like brands like Kiehl's, Jack Black coming onto the site. I think that's with Amazon trying to embrace both ends of the spectrum and try to really become everything. And I think what you're seeing from other retailers like Costco and Kohl's, for example, is they're embracing different avenues on the e-commerce side. So Costco with Costco Next, and then you have Kohl's actually kind of like secretly in the background doing a lot of Kohl's Marketplace. And so a lot of these like different avenues now for you to just sell items through these retailers where maybe price matching won't be an issue, or maybe, you know, a product that they didn't want, they're willing to take onto the marketplace side and really try to embrace more of like the Walmart's holistic approach that they've done and done a very good job of making the in-store and e-commerce experience almost seamless at this point, to where you truly don't know where an item's coming from, if it's from a third-party seller or just a Walmart store for that matter. So I think in the future, like you'll start to see more brands doing that. I feel like Costco will always be the one that's like super behind that, just because that's just how they are. But I feel like in the near future, they're going to start investing a lot more heavily into that. And TikTok's the most interesting one, just because you're meeting customers exactly where they're at. If you're doom scrolling on TikTok, maybe you see an item and you can just buy it immediately and you're like, this looks cool, check out. You don't need to go to an Amazon and have 20 more clicks, or a Walmart and drive 20 minutes to a store to go pick it up. You could just literally have one click to pay for it. So the whole entire retail landscape is evolving as we know it. And it's just kind of staying on top of exactly where these retailers are at and kind of meeting them there, because that's also where their customers are going to be.
Awesome. Well, I feel like there's no better way to end than on that. I think Ben agrees there, but really from both of you, really appreciate all of the great insights and knowledge that you brought here. Like I said, I don't think it's one and the same if only one of you are on, because it's both of your minds together that allow us to see how all of retailer.com and the larger strategy takes place. And that's exactly how we operate here at Vendo. So appreciate your guys' time. And again, you're on the calendar for later on in Q4 if you haven't seen it yet. But we'll catch you guys in a few months. And thanks everyone for tuning in to Vendo Velocity.
See ya.
Thanks everyone.